Kindred, by a fluid melody, read by abstract rhyme. Chapter 3, A Giving Hand. If anyone told Achillean that in the future he'd make friends with a Voltaris who had been initiated by Master Aegis, was taken back to his family in a month, be reinitiated, and would still be able to meet him in dreams, he'd nervously laugh while backing up with his fishing knife. Then again, he never thought he'd save a Voltaris either. Fidgeting with his fake practice staff, Achillean turned to a grinning Ingressus on the illusory, but oh so real, Nestoria ocean shore. "So you finally got a song? Which one?" "Mobile bounce. It's me jumping everywhere." That was an understatement. Achillean was lucky he hadn't smashed against a tree. I'm still trying to get used to moving so fast. It's hard to keep track of where I'm going. You'll get used to it. Just make sure to have a spotter in some place without sharp edges. He would know. Achillean remembered seeing Ingressus and how he slid across the ground, body embraced by darkness as his own shadow engulfed him. Ingressus had panicked when Achillean asked, and only calmed when he promised not to tell. All he knew was that it was magic, like the dream they were in. "Can you give me more advice? I don't want to shoot into the ocean, and it's safer here than waking up." Ingressus grinned. "I'm not a song master, but I'll see what I can do. Let's find a better spot first, unless you want to taste the waves." Achillean laughed as he followed his friend. Idly, he wondered how Master Aegis was doing. The elder had a troubled face when he saw him earlier, having returned from a meeting with adults in various states of alarm. What happened there? They were hiding something. It was obvious on both sides, and they all knew it. From the full bellies to the dream-walking, it was likely related to their new fortune. And what a fortune it was! In front of Aegis stood Master Dominus Voltaris, an Ardoni who radiated a sense of surety and wisdom none could question. He couldn't determine where it was from. Perhaps it was the comforting hearth glow his markings gave, emanating a faint heat. Or maybe it was the way Dominus's eyes shone like little suns, full of life. Or even the fine cloak in red and black, the fabric molded akin to great quills trailing the ground, leaving not a trace on the earth. Could they have a patron? One capable of great workings if they could gift and teach whatever magic they had given to a whole clan. In all their talks, the Voltaris, wary as they were, couldn't hide everything. Dominus was the most obvious, but his kinsman had a trace of the same power he did. It was small, like unusual lights in the corner of his eye, or odd bouts of temperature, but it was there. Of course, neither of them brought it up. The Voltaris didn't trust him, and despite all the years, Aegis couldn't blame them. He was still master of Nestoria, and for all he wanted this conflict to end, he was officially one of their greatest enemies. Trust only went so far. So they kept this polite fiction, no matter how much his curiosity gnawed at him. "The clans are growing anxious. Your clan's disappearance and the happenings up north have left many reeling for answers." The End had sent a letter to the masters that the fires and singing were nothing more than a human living far from society, but it did little to soothe their ire. Patrols sent into the mountain returned confused, claiming to walk in circles until they sought to go home. Ardoni spoke of hearing a female voice singing in the dark, telling lyrical tales until dawn. Throughout it all, not a single trace of the Voltaris clan could be found. Fires followed would lead to only confused campers or even bandits, but no Ardoni. It was like they vanished entirely. Thalius Sandaris, their most persistent champion, had only grown frustrated every time he dived in, only to return one day shaken. Whatever had happened he refused to elaborate, only glancing at his sword before heading home. If the group had any clue what he hinted at, they didn't show, Dominus merely tilting his head. "We know. They will not find us unless we let them." Something about that sentence felt off, but Aegis couldn't tell why. "Regardless, that's not why we're here. My kin have heard word of the clan searching the entirety of Ardonia for something valuable enough to have the honor guard deployed, and for you to seek us." Of course he heard about it. The meeting had occurred only a few days ago, but the Voltaris had uncanny luck when it came to gathering information. It didn't help how quick everyone had been to scour the continent. Granted, their panic was justified. "The primes have gone missing. All of them." Dominus blinks. Around them Voltaris took sharp breaths, muttered, and gave the general impression they had no idea. It felt too genuine to be fake, which filled Aegis with relief and dread in equal measure. Relief they had nothing to do with it, and dread for whatever mystery laid ahead. What happened? No one knows, except how they were all replaced with songs encased in glass, designed to trick the eye. It was a clever play. The glass was colored blue, but it was incredibly faint to the point of going unnoticed. Without experience, one could easily mistake them for the real primes, as the carefully distorted glass reflected the song's light and altered its tune, somewhat mimicking the infinite pattern and sound. It's suspected they were taken in the same night. There were no injuries, deaths, or signs of force around their homes. For all purposes, it was the perfect crime. The whispering increased, Aegis straining his ears. They said something about an aunt? Did she know? A possible link to their patron? All went silent as Dominus raised a hand. "Do you have the fake Agressium?" It takes a moment for Aegis to pull it out of his inventory, spilling electrified crimson light onto the crowd. Delicately picking it up, Dominus examined the song from every angle, frowning in thought only for his eyes to narrow. "This isn't from the overworld." "What?" "This glass wasn't made from regular sand, at least not completely. I don't recognize it, but it's not native to Ardonia. The heat alone would kill without a potion, and the color doesn't make sense. Look, there's a faint blue tint to it, completely natural." Aegis stares, dumbfounded. "Then there's the song. There's not a single crack or weld, but that means it was dipped in melted glass. Who would do that? It would be exhausting and expensive for one, let alone four." Those were some very good questions. It also brought even more questions, like how in the world Dominus knew that. The clans had sent glassmakers to examine the fakes, who had said the same about the dip, but all of them assumed the blue was from improper handling or dye. The idea it was natural never crossed their minds. Then there was the heat. How in Ardonia was he so sure? Not a single glassmaker mentioned anything about potions or danger. Yet Dominus spoke with absolute certainty as he made his claim, and no matter how he looked at it, he doubted the Voltaris had a storied history of glasswork. Was this more proof of their patron? The way aunt was whispered felt more than purely familial, giving the impression of appreciation and concern. Vaguely, Agus recalled folk tales of friendly witches and wise women who secluded themselves in the woods. Was this what happened? A mystic in the mountains, gifted kinship for power and protection? In the end, Agus left it be, keen to solve more pressing problems. Why a potion? There are enchantments of fire protection and songs like Saporikises. Why not those? True, they didn't offer the same immunity as fire resistance potions, but it provided a valid option. In a profession like that, he'd expect enchanted aprons and mitts as a valued commodity. And Ardoni using them and Saporian to aid their work would certainly make sense. His query snapped Dominus's gaze, turning from the glass of a measured tone. Whatever this glass was made of used more than regular fire. Unless you were a Magnerite or Natharan, enchants wouldn't be enough to save you from cooked limbs or worse. He wasn't saying everything. Squashing his anger, Agus merely gave a thankful nod as he took back the fake. This was more than all 4 clans had, and it wouldn't do to burn bridges for his temper. This would mean the maker wasn't an Ardoni. But why? No other species can use songs, so the primes are useless to them. Was it money? He could certainly see them being sold exorbitantly on the black market. But why go so far to fake them? All that time and pressure to make and swap? For what purpose? I don't know. What I do know is that you're about to wake up. In Nestoria, 2 woke up, one bright and happy, and the other burdened with more questions than solutions. Chapter 4. The Stories We Tell.
Hey, did you hear? That a lady goes around making stuff better? Mr. Pix got his roof patched and saw this big brown hat outside. When he opened the door, there's this pink flash and poof, gone.
I heard she was super tall, even taller than Ma. So tall she can open all the windows to take the rich people's things. That must be how she can fix everything.
I heard that she's a ghost, waiting until she can swoop you away. If she's a ghost, then she wouldn't need to eat or make noise, right? And she would go through walls and fly.
Ghosts aren't real. Jamie told me that.
Oh, yeah? Then how about all those stories in the mountain? Explain that.
Those aren't ghosts. They're her guards. That's how all those bandits got beaten up. They even said so. They had all those burns and were so scared they cried.
That's dumb. There's nothing like shadowy fire people. Mama said the cold made them delusional.
It's delusional, dummy.
I'm not the dummy. You are.
Fight, fight, fight. This is getting out of hand. A stroke of luck I could understand, but this is ridiculous. How did a dirty witch like her rise above her station? What do you mean? She's such a sweet woman, taking care of the children like that. Sweet? Do you seriously think? Ladies, I've been visiting family on Tartarus for the past week, and got zero clue what's happening here. Mind explaining? She's talking about the seamstress who recently started a business. A wonderful lady, always tending to her daughter and giving to the needy. She was living in the depths of poverty for years. I saw her once a week wearing the shabbiest clothes and living in a muddy shack. And now she can afford to clean those street rats? Unbelievable. How do you not find that suspicious? Because, unlike you, I believe in good karma and basic decency. Ah, of course you wouldn't know. If you did, you'd use that brain of yours properly. What? Huh? Damn, girl, I didn't think you had it in you. Where did all this come from? We became good friends when I went to her shop. Lovely place. Felt right and cozy for working and chatting. Gave some good advice I needed to hear. If you hated us so much, why are you still here?
It's only you that's the problem. Everyone barely tolerated you because they didn't have a choice. You always barged in no matter what we told you and tried to force your idiotic opinions over us. Believe me, if your kid wasn't friends with ours, we'd have cut you off long ago. Why, you little... Back to the topic. You said she takes care of children? More all the homeless. There are quite a few who saw her giving clothes and food to the destitute. I think she employs a few and tries to find work for the rest. Got some agreements if I'm right. Once a tramp, always a tramp. All those undesirables mucking around and fouling the air we breathe. If those oversized lips can't say anything useful, can you do us a favor and leave? The only one tainting the air is you. Otherwise, would you kindly hold your tongue?
Dang, you want some magma cream for that? I'm surprised hailstone isn't melting. What's her name?
Her name is Sarah. Human like you with brown eyes. Hair similar but lighter. Look for Sarah's embroidery on Rhyme Street. Can't miss the ribbons.
Ribbons?
Think of a pair of intertwined ribbons painted like rainbows. I'm sure her daughter made them. It's adorable, like Kelsey's dress.
Aw, those ducks and flowers are the cutest. Well, I know what I'm doing next.
Wait, that teal dress she's wearing? How? How did a wretch make something that intricate? There's no way someone as filthy... Oh, you're still here? Could you do us a favor and disappear, please and thank you? Fine. You'll regret this. Somehow I doubt that. Have a good day.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
Now, you recall how much that dress was? 'Cause I want something cute for my baby, and that looks perfect. Brother, where are you going?
Something popped up. Nothing bad, just an old friend I thought gone. It'll be good to talk again.
A friend? What happened to them?
That's what I want to find out. I'll be back later.
Does Father know? I know how busy everything is, so if you need another hand...
It's fine. He told me not to stay out for too long, but agreed. With luck, she won't be hard to find.
She?
Yes, she. Why are you so surprised? Contrary to popular belief, I am capable of making lasting friendships outside of Fem. Why are you looking at me like that?
Brother, is she really a friend?
What?
Father and I know how you feel about your suitors, particularly Kindle. If she's more than that, I want you to know that I support you as my... Brother, what are you... Wait, put that back down.
Now what brings you to my hearth? More stories? I don't know. Perhaps I should be resting these old bones.
Strawberries? Bah, at least you know how to touch an elder's heart. Fine, fine. I suppose I have time for one story. Now, let's see. Ah, you want to hear about Kai Dominus. Yes, I do believe I have the perfect tale. After I finish my strawberries. Don't give me that. Fine, I'll tell. Just stop looking at me like that. Children and kids, I swear. A few decades ago, we were hunted relentlessly by the four clans, scrabbling in the wilderness to get by as the four primes were used again and again to end us. It was only by skill and luck that we stayed alive. Then one day, another hunting party descended upon our master's camp, seeking to slay them all for glory. In that moment, a great illusion was cast, tricking the offending Ardoni into assuming they slew everyone when they were healed and alive. The mountains made blind to their eyes. No enemy could find us since. Right after this, every Voltaris found themselves gifted beyond measure, food and supplies freely given, and lost Ardoni. Even the master's son returned without the slightest notice. It was a good thing, mind you, but I don't need to explain how terrifying it was to find exactly what you needed right outside your tent. This would lead Kai Dominus to seek the caster, leading him to a magnificent cave built by a young human with shimmering eyes. Yes, it's her, Now don't interrupt. Who's the storyteller here? Anyhow, this human would introduce herself as Joyce Iridas, crafter, mage, and kin. A foreigner far from this realm, lacking knowledge on Ardonia, but easily recognizing our lineage. The chaos that occurred when we learned this, of a brand new clan, human too. Of course, even though the Irides never existed to hound us, centuries of hatred don't go away that easily, no matter how generous she was. But Kai Dominus, cunning and wise, recognized the sincerity of her deeds, and sought to ally with our newfound cousin. Hush, I know. Do you want me to finish or not? As I was saying, it was a tenuous time, as the clan adjusted to our new neighbor. But Kai Dominus refused to give up. Countless times he would go to her home, and just as many he would return, laden with incomparable riches and priceless knowledge. It was thanks to him that we lived so comfortably. This very underground, carved and grown by human hand and Ardoni design. Look at that northern wall, and you'll see the head of Voltar, so detailed you think they were real. Over time, this alliance continued until one day Kai Joyce asked for a meeting, leading Kai Dominus to a hidden cave of a great tree fed by a pond, filled with creatures like bees, plants, and those ferrets you children love so much. Wonderful hunting partners, especially when it comes to vermin and rabbiting. Quite fearless for one so small. Stop that, young lady! Don't poke the fire like that! Ahem. Deeper within were 6 paths, carved and gilded from all sorts of materials like crystal, ice, even pure gold. To look upon the walls and even the ceiling was to witness descriptions of strange histories and tales, from torn battlefields to quiet homes to fantastical beings no mind could conjure. It was here that she revealed the truth of who she was, having determined that the Voltaris wouldn't follow their southern counterparts and abuse the secret. A secret that I shall tell you after I eat my strawberries. What? Don't crowd your elder. Do you know how disgusting they get when squished? Heh, let no one say I wasted perfectly good sweets. Now off! Shoo! There was a knock on her door. Opening it, her visitor gave a shallow bow, axe in one hand, and the other pressed to his chest. "Hello, Joy. Can I come in?" "Of course. Welcome back, old friend." No amount of snow or darkness could hide the warm smiles on both faces as he walked inside, leaving slush in his tread.